Yeah.
They'll probably just finish cutting your grass.
Well, the question is not that. The question is if he misses and Ford gets on the street, he could get run over.
Good point. Or just keep going. Like how does it know where to end? Like how does it know where the
That's
line
primitive
is?
stuff.
Oh,
That's
you program
primitive.
it.
That's
You program
GPS.
it. Like you program with GPS is the same thing.
I love
Yeah,
this.
totally.
Okay.
Yeah, they already have golf carts that when you're on the golf course, if you go off of an area where they don't want you to go, the golf cart turns off. It's like that's old.
That's right.
That's
So
old. That's easy.
That's old technology. Yeah, that's dog fence technology.
That's right. So that's what you put that on the Roomba. This is great. The Roomba.
And you program it to not go into other, like in a stranger's van. Like, hey, don't take candy from strangers. My Roomba. Like, if somebody tries to take you, I need you to send an alert to 911 and all.
It won't work if you take it outside of its GPS coordinates, which can be very precisely.
The older versions of it, you have to put a wire in the ground all around the perimeters you want it to go.
No, the GPS will define it.
Now the newer ones start to use some kind of GPS.
Yeah.
All right, I'm pulling this back in. Lawn talk is over. Lawn talk is over.
Come on, let's do self-driving vehicles next.
Yeah, exactly. Full self-driving. Pro or con, and go. No, don't. Okay. Hey everybody. Hey Leah, how are you?
Hello, Kyle. Hello, community. I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. We're recording. We're officially starting. Hello everybody. Welcome to the AI Salon. Leah and I will be your guides for the evening, your hosts, and we'll walk through this. It's been a busy week. I've got a lot going on at work, and then Dan Murray from the Rocky Mountain AI Interest Group invited the salon to collaborate on a response to a Senate bill here in Colorado that, how do we say in America, sucks. And so I have been busy politicking, and those of you that know me, I am not a political guy. It's not something I have a passion for or do, but so I've been reluctantly doing that, but it's been really interesting and really positive. And so that's been, my week's been in a very different place than I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, and I think that's good because I think there's a lot of people talking about AI that need to take something that's very technical and hard to understand and put it into language and ask questions, understanding that, but do it for everyone. And I think you're really good at that.
Oh, thank you.
So I think we're lucky to have you doing it.
Well,
you're just helping people ask the right questions, right?
Yeah, and particularly with legislation, if it is crafted without people even thinking about how this stuff is used and what it makes possible and what stage we're at with it, I think it can be, very, 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 I don't know if dangerous is the right word, but just detrimental to us being able to do what we want to do.
Yes.
So anyway, so welcome. So this is the AI Salon. And if you're new here, welcome. I see a lot of familiar faces. So to those of you who have come back, welcome as well. Let's jump over. Let me share my screen. So this is us. We're the AI Salon, a ragtag group of misfits, ne'er-do-wells, and miscreants setting out to figure out this AI stuff together. And the whole idea here is if you're new to AI and if you're trying to figure this stuff out, this is a safe place. This is a place where you can explore. Leah was talking earlier about, she went to a big MIT AI event this week, and we're going to talk about that a bit later. But in talking with her about that, it reminded me why this group's really important and what I really like about this group. And it's that, we're up to using AI, rather than creating the frontier models. Now that the frontier models have been created, it's really up to all of us to figure out, well, how are we going to use this stuff? And how's it going to affect our work, and how's it going to affect what we do? And that's what this group's all about. So super excited to have you here. Any thoughts? Just reminiscing on what you experienced this week, Leah, on the group, on the salon.
What I experienced on the summit, reflecting on the salon. Yeah. So there was a big innovation summit at the MIT Media Center, Media Lab, which is an incredibly innovative place here in Boston and Cambridge. And I went, and it invited AI leaders. There were speakers from all over. And I sometimes, Kyle and I, we started the salon, but I would never ever call myself an AI expert, right? One of the things that I think we started this was because curiosity, we want to learn more. And I tend to think of myself as a little bit like, okay, I know my corner of the world, but I certainly don't know AI. And I sort of know generative AI. And I went thinking, okay, I'm going to go carve out my space here and learn all this stuff. And what I heard over and over and over again is the same things we're talking about in the salon. And it feels like a lot of people are talking about data, which is important. That felt new. They've been talking about that for 4 years. But what I noticed was that people are talking a lot about doing things faster and better, but it's already stuff we're doing. Mm-hmm. And what I'm excited about, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, is what aren't we able to do that AI will be able to do? And what does that look like? And I didn't hear as much of that at the summit as I was hoping. I was surprised about that because it was a summit in AI.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think, we talk about our values a lot, but why don't we go through these, again, because I think the key to us discovering, what is it that AI is going to allow us to do that's actually truly unique and new? The key to unlock that is in our values. So why don't we go through these? Because again, this is a reminder to me of why we're here.
Absolutely. And I'll just go through them. If Kyle, or if one of the organizers wants to drop a link to our salon into the chat, people can follow along. They can join and follow along. So our values. The first value we have is curiosity. Kyle, you and I started the salon over a conversation, and we had more questions than answered. And we had both sort of just stumbled onto generative AI. ChatGPT had just been launched. We were playing and playing and playing, and we had a lot of questions, and we were very curious. Yep. And our statement is we are eager to learn new things, ask questions, and experiment. This is a value I often come back to, especially when I'm feeling a little overwhelmed or like, where do I go next? I just start with questions. What do I want to know? What am I curious about?
Yep.
Generosity is our next value. We're willing to share our knowledge, resources, and feedback with others and to support each other's growth and development. There's so much to learn we can't possibly keep up. Even if it's obvious to you, it might not be to the person next to you. So share as you learn. Exploration. We are excited to try new things, take risks, and embrace uncertainty and ambiguity. Act as if no one knows what they're doing, because nobody knows what they're doing. That one makes me giggle every time I read it. Collaboration. We look for opportunities to work with others, to exchange ideas, and to create something greater than ourselves. Find a partner or a posse, start a project, start 10. We won't judge you, and who knows, you might just make a friend or the next $1 billion venture. We already have stuff happening that's come from the salon. I know we're going to announce something really exciting happening in the guild later. That's a collaboration. Really exciting things happening. Inclusion. We actively seek out and value diverse perspectives and experiences, recognizing that our differences make us stronger. We create an environment where everyone feels seen, heard, and respected, and where everyone has an equal opportunity to contribute and succeed. This is a really important value, and it's something I find that as we have people coming from all different places and backgrounds and careers and beliefs coming together in our salon. And I think reminding everyone that we are actively seeking out and valuing diverse perspectives and experiences is something that, this is my first time being part of a community like this. That feels like really important value that I keep coming back to.
Yeah, it's, even the way your kids said, oh, you're clueless about photography, right? Their definition of photography and yours are not the same thing. And there's real value in both of those, right? And I think it's the same thing here where, that MIT group or the Rocky Mountain AI Interest Group may be very technical and have a lot of technical perspectives, but bringing people in who have completely different perspectives can really upend things, and that's super valuable.
It is, and it makes me rethink what is photography, right? What is everything? What is AI? What is creative life?
Yep.
Empathy. We are mindful of the impact of our work on others, and we strive to create work that is respectful, inclusive, and meaningful. AI is one of the most transformative technological advances in humanity. Humans matter. Take each other in. Act from a place of compassion. And I think that definitely goes back to the inclusion, right? Inclusion is a lot easier when we're acting from a place of empathy.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Great.
Gratitude.
Where is gratitude? It's not on the.
It should be.
Is it on your thing?
It's. I'm sharing my screen. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I just popped into the. Okay.
I
I don't know where it went. I'm in the salon. You should read.
It didn't load.
Maybe it didn't load. Okay, where is it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. Okay, got it. Here we go. Thank you. Back to our program. Gratitude. We believe gratitude is a practice. Gratitude is not just a feeling, but an action. Take the time to acknowledge the effort, support, and successes of the extraordinary people in this community, especially if someone inspires you. Go out of your way to acknowledge them. Tag them in your posts. Reach out and let them know they made a difference.
You know, this one I love. I want to acknowledge you, Leah. One of the things that I really appreciate about you is whenever we connect before the salons, you're always where you are, and you're very real about that. And sometimes it's like, I don't know about this AI shit today, right? Yeah. Or sometimes it's like, I don't know what this community is. And I so appreciate that in you, because I think that's the only thing we can do right now, individually and collectively, is just kind of be where we are. So that's something that I don't think I acknowledge enough in you, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you for staying along on this path for me when I'm in that moment.
Yeah, exactly. What do you mean AI is awful?
This AI sucks. I'm going back to film.
Oh, that's awesome. So if you don't know this, the AI Salon, the site I was just on is our web-based community. It's based on Mighty Networks. It doesn't cost members anything. And the reason for that is we have sponsors. So thank you to everyone who supports the salon. The April sponsor is Cam Katkin. So thank you, Cam, for your support and allowing all of us to do this for free. We also have a merch store. So if you want awesome swag with our cool logo on it, you can get it. And anything that's bought at the merch store is the proceeds of that go to support the infrastructure as well. So thanks to everyone who does that. So I mentioned before, I've been involved in this process. So the AI Salon and the Rocky Mountain AI Interest Group jointly wrote and sponsored a letter to Senator Rodriguez, who's the author of an AI bill that is very broad sweeping and is not, in my opinion, in a lot of people's opinions, very informed about the realities of AI and how it actually works. And it's presented as a consumer protection bill. So like, we want to protect consumers, but we also want to do it in a way that doesn't, destroy Colorado businesses and hinder our ability to do things. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who supported that, participated in that, gave input on that. We got more than 100 validated Colorado signatures. So anyone that signed that was not from Colorado was not part of this. The Colorado signatures were validated, and they were a part of this. We had a press conference today, and a press release went out today, stating our position and talking about that in the press conference. And then members of the Salon and the Rocky Mountain Interest Group and just other Colorado business people are testifying at a hearing tomorrow. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who supported that. I think it's quite important. And yeah, so thank you.
And I want to just jump in really quickly too and say that, for those of us not in Denver and not in Colorado, we couldn't sign this, but this is really important, because this is a piece of legislature that could help set the standard for other states and other legislatures, right? Like, everything is precedent setting at this point. So while I don't know that much about law, everything sets a precedent. And so it's important that the legislation that is being put through and is being passed, and it's important that that's happening, is done in a way that is that makes sense, that there's things in the law that are being written by people who know what questions to be asking.
Yeah, and one of the things we learned in this process is that this Colorado bill is literally a copy and paste from a Connecticut bill, and our senator and the Connecticut senator actually had a joint press conference the end of last week, talking about how awesome these bills are, and they are very not informed, and it should be members of our community in our state. If we're going to pass statewide legislation, then the small businesses and people from Colorado should be the ones contributing to that. It shouldn't just be being pulled in from other states. So anyway, so super important, and thank you for everyone who supported that. John Leland, I know you were in here. So the other thing, last Saturday, John and I put on a play shop, which is like a workshop, but it was a hell of a lot more fun. So John is giving any member of the AI Salon a 50% discount on the recording of that. So John, take it away and talk about what we did.
Hi. Yeah, thanks, Kyle. We had so much fun in the play shop, which was our intention. And it's just exciting to see people so engaged in the process of learning about the creative tools. And I will say that Kyle and I worked hard preparing a 4-hour play shop with 2 10-minute breaks, and we covered LLMs, and we covered the different graphics tools, and we showed the way the different creative AIs can be used in combination. So it was a lot of hands-on demo and a lot of participation from the people. And I didn't really even think we were going to make it a standalone product, but I think that the quality is there. And so it's going to be $99, but between now and Sunday, for members of my mailing list and members of the salon, half off. So it'll be $49.50 with that discount code there, intro 50. So we're having fun, and this creativity, it's like AI is a creativity enhancer. And I think what we did with the play shop is we really made the case for that, not conceptually, although we did do some conceptual stuff, but really with the hands-on experience of here's how you can use the language stuff creatively, here's the music stuff creatively, video stuff. I pre-recorded with our good friend Kelly Besh a demo of how she uses Midjourney and which video? Runway, to do her gorgeous creative things. So anyway, there's a whole lot of great material in there. Money back guarantee if anybody's not happy, but I can't imagine that people won't get enormous value and be inspired and continue to be more creative thanks to AI.
Yep. Yeah, it's great. And it's, to your point, Leah, about, a lot of this AI stuff right now is being kind of deployed doing what we know. I think the idea of sort of playing and being creative, getting your head out of sort of, knowing exactly what to do. That's one of the things that AI, is a bit of a gift of if you let it be. And I think one of the keys to opening that door is being creative. So awesome. Thank you, John. That's great.
Kyle, should we talk about the video thing too, as long as I'm here on mic, or you want to talk about that later?
Jump in.
Well, so I'm taking over. What do we call them again?
The guilds.
The
The
video.
guild. Thank you so much. So yeah, so I'm going to be your video guy in the video guild if people will have me. And I've got one member actually who was at the play shop with a demo. We're just coming up with a date. And so stay tuned, you video people. The video guild is not dead. It's going to be coming back to life. And I look forward to playing with you all there.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. That's awesome, John.
Awesome. Very cool.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. The other thing we have on opposite Tuesdays of the salon, we have salon after hours, which are in-person meetings. Right now, we've got Denver, Chicago, and New York City set up. The next one in New York City is May 14th, but the Chicago and Denver ones are every other. So next Tuesday is the 30th, I think. Is that right? And from 6 to 8 p.m. local time. And there will be new cities added, but right now those are the ones that are happening. So just put that in your calendar. The reason we're doing them on opposite Tuesdays is we're just saying, hey, maybe we can make Tuesday night salon night. So you're either here at the global meeting or if you've got an after hours in your town, you can go to it there. All right. So speaking of guilds, we just heard from John. John's going to be taking over the video guild within the creative guild group. So with that, why don't we have anyone who's a guild leader raise your hand, and then I'll sort of just go around whoever's got their hand up and just talk about what's going on in your guild and what you want people to know and why they should spend time with you, and if you're going to give them Snickers bars.
I like that direction for the creative guild Snickers bar.
Exactly. All right. Who's up first? Jane.
Hi there. So my name is Jane, and I am the leader of the Writers Guild. We meet every other week. So we've got on Thursdays. So our next meeting is this Thursday at 5 o'clock. Conversations are really just open conversation, very informal about what we're working on. And what's really amazing about it is, people aren't just using it to write, but they're also using, these tools for like feedback and role playing and like as a kind of a writing partner. So there's all different kinds of ways that people are using these tools, not just to write, and just different backgrounds. So it's just really good conversation to have. Always open to just people jumping in and just kind of checking it out. So look forward to seeing you guys there.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jane. Peter Kaminsky.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks, Leah. Hi, I'm Peter Kaminsky. I host Learn and Do with Peter. And we don't have Snicker bars, but you can have as many Jankifiers as you want. I usually host 1 or 2 90-minute live sessions every week. They're part instructional, part hands-on workshop. We cover things like ChatGPT, Llama, Claude, the LLMs or image generators like Midjourney or DALL-E. Right now, we're using LLMs to write little programs, small but useful programs called Jankifiers. And the Jankifiers help us make creative image prompts. We've been having a lot of fun with them. We also, I cover some general purpose computer stuff too, personal information, knowledge management, text-based stuff, handling files, integrating with APIs and other stuff as it comes up. I like the sessions to be really interactive, and we like to cover lots of questions. There's a wiki. I have a website called AI 101 Peter Kaminsky Wiki that's got kind of an archive of what we've covered, and there's the Learn and Do with Peter guild in the Technology Guild. I'll drop a link in the chat for both of those. I've got 2 sessions coming up this week, Thursday in the late afternoon, evening, and Friday in the morning. Love to see you if any of that sounds interesting. Thanks.
Great. And the info for those meetings is in the salon, in the...
Yes, they're set up as events in the guild channel.
Okay, great. And I hope you take this in the positive way it's intended. It just hit me. There's something you remind me of, and it just struck me what it was. You remember the Computer Chronicles from the 1980s with Leah?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Where they would just bring someone in and they would talk about what's a floppy drive. And they would show, this holds 40 megabytes, and they would put it in and go zzz, zzz, zzz. And Leah Laporte was always like patient and like, really interesting. So anyway.
That's yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks.
Bradley.
So I'm Brad Perkins. I'm the leader in the AI for Business Guild. So we meet every other Thursday opposite the salon. So next Thursday is when we would meet at 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Eastern. I say that, but also know that we're actually going to be adjusting that. So we actually typically will just have a discussion time where we'll just talk about AI's effects in business through entrepreneurship, the workforce, the workplace, all these kinds of things, how new tools are kind of coming in and disrupting our way of thinking, the way we plan go-to-market strategies, startup businesses, things like that. It's really just an open discussion forum for an hour where we just kind of learn from each other. We will be making some slight adjustments as we move into the summer period and possibly beyond. We might be introducing a series where we do an hour every other week where we spend time actually solving a problem. The things that we've started to notice is that, you know, AI needs a starting point and a problem to be solved, a task to be done. As we've used the vernacular jobs to be done. And when we use job, we mean like a end goal or a task that the end user or the stakeholder has. And so we might be getting a little bit deeper into that, where we're actually going to be problem solving and problem defining as a group, similar to the workshop that we ran back in February, but kind of breaking that up into a series of 1 hour sessions where we can kind of all work as a group. Or watch as a group as we kind of build a solution for a problem. So that's what's happening in the Business Guild. Stay tuned for any adjustments to the upcoming meeting schedules.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Bradley. Danielle.
Hey guys. So I am not really like a leader or anything. I host the Mad Libs area.
You are. You
no,
are.
back up.
No
Nope.
apologizing. No apologizing. You're a leader.
And
Sorry.
okay, well, I do the Mad Libs, and I just posted one right before this meeting started. So, and also I would like to say that I did hold my end of the bargain about putting. Okay, well, never mind. Hold on. I did put myself out there, and I made it. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do here. Okay, I'm gonna make a Mad Lib editorial, I guess, like a video explanation for people who. I am a visual and auditory learner. Like, I don't like to read stuff. I'd rather hear it. But you know, since we all know that Kyle is anti-ears, I just feel that I would like to hear it and see it. And as no offense towards your ears, Kyle, but I like to hear and see, and I think that that's how I learn better, rather than someone just putting like, here's the directions, go to it. So I will put myself out there and probably make like a little explanation video of how I do the process of doing those Mad Libs and why I like doing them, and hopefully why maybe some of you guys might think that they're fun to do. And so I just put one up there. For today, I shared the link also in the what's the other one called now? I can't remember the name. The share your stuff area. I can't remember now. Yeah, and show and tell. One of the areas of show and tell, the graphics area, and also in the Mad Libs challenge area. So I'm trying to keep up on it. I'm very busy and stressed out because I have so much going on, but I'm trying to keep up on it. And
yeah, Danielle is starting a business. I'm not anti-hearing. It was just that Brandon said that he was reading a book, and then he admitted that he listened to the audio book, and I'm like, that's not reading, that's listening.
So is Braille? Is Braille not reading?
But see, Braille
that's
is
reading. I'm going to argue that is reading a book, but that is for another.
But that's a whole nother thing. But anyway,
that's a different conversation.
It's a different way of processing the information.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay.
But
anyway, you guys come play along, because otherwise I'm not going to want to.
Mad Libs is part of the Creative Guild, so I'm going to jump in here. And it's just an incredibly fun, bite-sized way to dig in to making generative work. I think sometimes as creative people, well, what am I supposed to make? I have all these tools. And what the Mad Lib gives you is it gives you, here, go make this. It gives you a formula to do it. And it's an incredible opportunity. And one of my favorite things here at the salon for making work and getting it out there. It's just this little bite-sized goodness to get you playing with your generating tools and your prompting tools.
And I want to throw in there, it's really kind of spun off a lot of other ideas in the whole AI salon as well, like how other people do things, like with their writing or just their process of doing things. And also it's great for beginners. If you don't even know how to make an image, here you go. Fill in the blank with your own idea. So
It's great.
Or go-
Everyone try one. The Mad Libs are great fun, and they are a great way to get started prompting and generating and playing with the tools. You can make a bunch in different, in different generating tools. Try one over and over. You can refine it. It's a really good starting point. So I'd encourage everyone, of course, to join the Creative Guild because we do incredible things there, and to make sure you jump in and try a Mad Lib.
Great.
Yeah.
And then are we going to talk, do you want to talk, Leah, about Vanguard, or is that, is it too early?
No, we're talking Vanguard because I'm so excited about
into Vanguard. I see CJ, he's got a little smirk on his face. So I want to hear about it.
So I'm going to introduce this, and I'm just going to say something we've been thinking about in the Creative Guild is, and I love that we're doing this because Danielle, I think, gives us a good entry in, right? Everyone can do it. Everyone can try it. It gives everyone an opportunity to create. And then what we're finding is we're starting to create and generate work, and it's great work, but how do we get to the next level, right? How do we level up? Where do the portfolios start getting made? When do we start making work we can really start submitting into shows? And CJ and Jane have come forward and put together an unbelievable offering. And I'm going to let CJ and Jane talk about it and promote it. Just really excited about having this launched in the Creative Guild. So CJ.
Yes.
Take it away.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hello. So tonight we are super excited to talk about something really cool that we're a part of, and that's the Vanguard at the AI Salon. So we like to think about the Vanguard as our playground for creativity, where we're not just messing around with art, but we're actually pushing the limits of what the AI can help us create. So here we're all about being original, diving into new ideas, and really, really owning what we make. But it's not just about the creating of the art, it's also about growing. We critique each other's work very, very honestly, because that's how we as artists all get better. So, whether you've been showing your skills off in show and tell section, or if you're thinking about taking that next step in your generative art, you can apply to join us in the Vanguard. So, because every piece of art that you create and every bit of feedback not only kind of builds up our community, but also it paves the way for bigger and bolder projects. So the Vanguard, we're going to keep pushing the limits and challenging each other, challenging ourselves as artists, and creating art that really truly astonishes and inspires other people. And you guys, you're all an amazing part of this community. And we really, really hope to see you guys and that creativity over in the Vanguard soon. So you see the Vanguard over in the Mighty Network with the big green eye that looks like this. Click it and apply it, and we'll have a conversation and we'll get to work.
Beautiful. I love it. Will you, CJ, I don't know if this is for public knowledge, but you shared it with me, so you don't have to share it, but you shared with me a 5-year vision for yourself with your art. Would you be willing to share that with the group?
Sure. Yeah. So quick, I'll go mini story like I love to do because I'm a storyteller. I started out as a graphic designer. And moving when generative art kind of just first started up, I had this big vision about how I wanted to push myself and test the limits of what I can do with generative art. And my 5-year goal is to be showing my art pieces at the New York or the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. And so I've been on this track plan now for about a good 8 months, the solid AI plan. And I say AI plan because ChatGPT is my co-pilot, which I want my new bumper sticker to say on my car, and has helped me devise this plan in getting myself more in tune with generative art and the steps that I need to take to get myself there. So what I'm trying to do is utilize this community that's so graciously accepted me and push my art forward with the feedback and the comments that y'all give me.
Yep.
And I want to jump in really too. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see CJ's work, but CJ has really reached a level of mastery with prompting and prompt crafting where I feel like he's gone above and beyond and is now hit a level of mastery that I think we're all sort of trying to get to. Mm-hmm. And so he's also a wonderful resource for that as well. And sort of saying, okay, now you know the tool, how do we push to the next level? Like, I think you've started the Vanguard and you're a great teacher, but you're also leading by example, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, the reason I wanted you to share that, CJ, is, Leah, you've talked for a long time about really fully expressing yourself just in general, right? And now we have these new tools to do it. And the Vanguard being this more focused area where you can have a goal like in 5 years, I want to be in MoMA with my AI art. Like if you look at some of the stuff in show and tell, it may not be an obvious leap that you could go from that to MoMA. That's the spirit of the Vanguard, and that's why I'm so excited about it. So thank you, CJ, and Jane. Thank you as well, because this involves words as well, because we're in this weird place right now where like everything is sort of interrelated, and your words are pictures, and your pictures become words, and those become songs. You know, just absolutely nuts. So thank you everybody for putting that together. Okay, the link was put in the chat there to the Vanguard. So awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. I want to quickly go through news, and then Leah, I want to kind of turn the conversation over to you before we bring on our guest. Some decent stuff this week to talk about. Meta released Llama 3, which is their new, their latest model. They released the 8 billion and 70 billion parameter models, which both of them are sort of just under GPT-4, which we keep hearing that, right? The sort of ceiling of GPT-4, all of these models are bumping up against it. Their 405 billion parameter model is still in training, and we can only assume that that's going to be pretty remarkable. But the 70 billion, a lot of people have been talking about it and how powerful it is. The other thing that Meta did is, this screenshot here is they launched, if you haven't seen it, a ChatGPT competitor at meta.ai. And so a couple of interesting things about it. The thing that a couple of things that strike me. One is it looks like all the other things, right? It looks like Copilot. It kind of looks like ChatGPT. What Meta has very consciously done here, in my opinion, is they've made it incredibly simple. Like by default, they don't show you, your conversation history, right? Where ChatGPT does. It's very, very simple, and it's it's decently fast. Like make me a marketing plan for the AI Salon at aisalon.mn.co. Let's see. I don't know if it's connected to the internet. But anyway, pretty fast, decent, well-formatted kind of stuff. Super simple. This is also integrated into Facebook and into Instagram, and there are other properties. So this capability, a nearly GPT-4 level capability, is available in this very, very simple interface. So I think the chances of this hitting a broader audience are very high. The other thing that they did, which I think is really kind of fun, is there's two modes. There's the word mode and the picture mode. In word mode, you can ask it to make pictures, but in picture mode, if you select the little Imagine with Meta AI, one of the things they've done here is they've launched their version of SDXL Turbo, which is as you type, it creates an image. So a photograph of a welder walking down the street in Times Square, right? So it's generating the image as I'm typing the prompt, and then it even records that little video. And then if I submit it, it'll take that image and it'll add 3 more. And it's quite fast and it's decent. And so I don't know what the hell he's holding there, but it's pretty funny. But every one of these photos is available for you there. You can edit them, which doesn't really work that well, but you can also animate it. So if you just click animate, they're doing stuff. This is kind of like what Runway ML does, right? So there you go. Now it's janky, it's not great, all that, but incredibly simple. And as we know with ChatGPT, simple interface, can make a difference. So I thought that was worth pointing out. So that
I heard they refer to that as autocomplete in visuals.
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Someone-
interesting. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Huh. Cool.
Because as you talk, like you autocomplete on, with text.
Yeah.
As you talk, it's autocompleting a visual.
Oh, that's very cool. It's actually really interesting. Adobe also announced in the fall there's going to be a new version of Premiere Pro. So I assume if you're an Adobe subscriber, the beta for this will come out sooner than that. They're adding things in Premiere like scene extension. Like if someone isn't, if a clip is slightly too short, you can just extend it and say, extend this clip, and it'll just do that. They're doing generative ad where you can select an area on screen and say, fill this full of jelly beans. And you can also do object removal from a video scene. And then there's a possible integration with Runway ML, Pika, and Sora. So in their release video, they talk about being able to, having API access into these other tools, including OpenAI's Sora, where you'll be able to generate video within your video project. So this one's a big deal to me because I think Adobe essentially owns, creative generation as a category, or and creative generation by people as a category. So I think they had a really interesting choice to make of, do we, really go all in on AI, or do we leave it as this kind of tangential thing within filters and things like that? And, according to what they're doing here with the video stuff, it looks like they've made the decision to just go all in on AI. So we will probably be seeing, demos of that over the summer as people get access to the beta, and it looks like they're going to launch that in the fall. So pretty fascinating there. And then we also, there were a number of, I put uncanny valley and scary bots. Microsoft showed off this new thing that's like HeyGen and like Synthesia, and what's the other one? D-ID, where you can start with a picture and turn it into a talking head avatar, but it's really good.
But you can imagine I have a lot of questions. So I'd love to begin with you, firstly, just because I read that you started out in advertising and now you run a wellness business.
Right, and I think that's a recorded audio, but the animating of the face is much less uncanny valley than things we've seen before. So that's pretty interesting. Boston Dynamics released a new weird humanoid robot with really flexible joints. The U.S. Air Force confirmed that they had an AI-powered dogfight. So jets are now flying around shooting at each other with AI, which I'm sure it's going to be fine. Nothing to look at here. It's going to be okay. And then I don't know if you saw Udio, but considering our guest tonight, if you haven't played with Udio.com, UDIO.com, it makes incredibly high-quality music with background music and singing and things like that. Yeah, question or comment?
Nope, that was a mistake. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So anyway, so that's some of the news. I think that's it.
I just had a vision of the humanoid robot with the Microsoft person talking on top of it.
Well, yeah, I think we're gonna.
Right?
I think we're gonna do that. Yeah,
it's not that far away.
It's not.
Very Doctor Who here, very fast.
Yeah, it's funny. The robot that Boston Dynamics did, that it's sort of laying on its stomach, and then its legs sort of come up behind it, and it just stands up, and then its head swivels 180 degrees. But its head is like a big computer screen, right? So I can absolutely see that being, one of those avatars just talking to you naturally. So we're getting there. So anyway, with that, Leah, let's continue the conversation. So you go to this MIT.
So there was a big summit at MIT that I went to at the Media Lab, and I was excited to go feel like I was on the edge of innovation, right? What are people working on? What are they doing? And I read about stuff, but I really wanted to talk to folks. And I felt like a lot of the people I met were doing the same things that they've been doing. Now they're just doing it maybe a little faster or using AI to do it. So a lot of innovations happening with data that I was excited about, but data's a little like, I think that is a little boring. So what I was thinking about was like how I'm meeting all these people who are really excited about AI and they're launching companies, they're doing all this cool stuff, but it's a lot of the stuff we've already been doing, right? I can generate images now of my photographs, but I can make pictures with my camera. Right. So I met a really wonderful people who were launching a very cool AI tool that was going to help diagnose joint disorders. Great. But we already know how to diagnose joint disorders. So there was
you get a doctor, you go to school for 10 years.
That's right.
Yeah,
I felt like a lot of AI innovation is coming from replacing what humans can do and doing it with AI, which is okay. And I get that there's something cool about that. But what it left me really yearning for is like, what are the things we can't do that AI is going to do? What are the things that a human person couldn't have a job doing that AI will do? And so what I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight before Emily Shaw, our amazing speaker, comes on, is I would love to have people raise their hand, pop their mic on for like 30 seconds or a minute. And what is one thing you've witnessed or one thing you're thinking about that you can't do right now, people can't do that you would imagine or you've seen AI be able to do?
Yep. Or even if you're just imagining you might be able to do something, right?
Yeah. That's right. And we're going to keep it like, let's keep this to like 30 seconds to a minute. I can keep time or someone else can keep time just to make sure we get a number of people in with ideas.
Great. Yeah. So raise your hands and I'll sort of go down through the list. Dr.
Great. And I'll watch the time. Great.
Well, I have to leave in a few minutes, so I'll be very brief.
Great.
Something which AI does not do, but I was able to do it, is you can get a lot of talking avatars. You cannot get a singing avatar. I have made an avatar sing.
Nice.
So you can do things. We call it pushing the envelope. But I want to give you the kind thought which has not come up yet. At least I haven't heard it yet. The one thing that when you deal with the legislatures, which is what Kyle is going to be doing tomorrow, is the question is, what can AI? It's not what AI can do for you. It is what you can do with AI. You have to completely reverse the equation. Everybody is talking about what AI is going to do for you. And half the fear that comes out is because they think it's going to do something so destructive and knock you out of the workforce. That is not the case. The second thing I would like you to address, Kyle, please think about it before you do it. The one important thing about AI, when a new boy enters the block, change happens. What is the change we want in which AI has a constructive part? I think that is the key to the success of whether AI will fail or AI will succeed.
Beautiful.
I'll close with a thoughtful process. My role model before I went into academia was Walt Disney. He did wonderful things with a mouse. I decided to emulate him. Awesome. And I did wonderful things with a mouse. The only thing is this was my mouse.
Yeah,
very cool. Excellent. We loved hearing that. Thank you. Let's make sure we can get a few other voices in. So Kenneth Corner, you're next.
Well, I will see you folks later.
Great.
Thank you very much for having me.
Kenneth Corner, you're up. Kenneth Corner?
Kenneth, I can't hear you.
You're muted.
Okay, let's pop on to RJ. Kenneth, please turn your microphone on and we'll come back to you. So RJ, you're up.
Okay, so what I can't really do normally is coding, because coding is just so complicated. There's just so much to remember. There's so much to understand. I can now go to Claude AI, the free version. I could tell it what I want, and I could get it to build a very small, granted, it's a small application, but it can do it like instantly, almost perfectly. I was just amazed at my most recent experiences in doing that. And if anybody wants to try it, I suggested they do, because all you got to do is tell Claude what the app is supposed to do, get it to run in an HTML file using JavaScript included, and bang, it'll come out with a little application that you thought of off the top of your head, and it makes the code to get it to run in a browser like really quickly.
Amazing. That's awesome. Thank you, RJ. Okay, HT, your hand was raised, and by mistake, I hit it and lowered it. So you're up next. Thank you. All right, HT, you're
I
up.
want AI to automatically mute and unmute people.
Excellent. Yes.
Sure.
They run this meeting for sure. Yes.
So I think AI is going to let me talk to my dog.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
What I
yes.
mean is, I think we're going to be able to get a lot more insights on things that happen visually that we can't see.
Mm.
Or audibly that we can see, or things that we can't perceive, I think is probably the better way to say it.
That's
and
great.
AI can do that so much faster with so much more insight that I think it's going to enable some insights into communication that are new. So animals will be the fun thing.
Yeah,
There'll be
I
more
love
than that.
I want to talk to my dog. I mean, imagine like the headphones or the neck thing that you wear that you go out in the park with your dog, and your dog's like, okay, I'm bored now. I want to go home. That's awesome.
Do we want to know what they're thinking?
No, probably not. But...
Yeah.
I love that. Thank
You're
you,
an
HT.
asshole.
Kenneth Comer, is your mic on? And can we hear from
Yes.
you?
I hope it's on.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry about that. I just haven't. I normally run a meeting and I have a different kind of button. Anyway, I was talking with Carrie this morning, and we discussed the idea of future occupations, and I didn't have any really great ideas then. But since then, that seed has blossomed a little bit. Author management, AI author management. That's going to be a job here in the next 5 years. The author manager will go in and say, I want a book that's talking about this, it's going to talk about in this way, and go off and create it, and then I want to look at it. And now for the afternoon, I want this kind of book, and I want it this way, and they're just going to have like 6, 8, 10 authors that they manage. And they're going, oh, that whole approach there is wrong. Skip that and throw in this. That's what I think is going to be a real job here in 3 years or less.
Beautiful.
Side note: they have little buttons for your dog to press, where your dog can actually learn English.
Yeah.
But that's a side note.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kenneth. I love that. Patsy, you're next.
Hey, okay, so I recently had to go through some civil law processes. And what I discovered was that it's a very expensive process, and some things that might be criminal are actually civil, right? So I would love to use AI to run an analysis of state civil law for the state of North Carolina, pair that up to the forms that are needed to go through civil process, and create a walkthrough so that you don't necessarily have to hire an attorney or feel like you have to hire an attorney for everything, and you can go through those things to take care of these things that are considered small claims, because like small claims in North Carolina is like under $10,000. And $10,000 is a chunk of change.
Yeah.
So in order to go ahead and, so to speak, to bring justice to the people, because there are people out there who will scam knowing that you won't go after them, because in my case, if I wanted to pick this up with another attorney, I had to give a $23,000 retainer, and I didn't have that.
Wow.
So I would really like to be able to take those things and then create that, that pathway of the decision trees, so you could go ahead and democratize that process.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Thank
massive.
you.
It's, you know what it is it's an accessibility issue where the complexity of the current system is the thing that prevents access, right? And so what you're saying essentially, if you abstract it completely out, is AI simplifies any complicated process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And gives you access to the benefit that's behind it. Beautiful.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take help.
There you go. You can start a business now. Anyone else? Any other thoughts on things that are now possible or you want to be possible?
Okay. Well, please start that conversation in. Oh, Kelly Camp.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi. I'm risk going on camera here. So I was talking to Greg Rosner a few days ago. I came in on the tail end of his conversation he was having, and I missed it. So I set up a meeting with him, and I said, "Tell me what you're doing with your GPT." Well, what I thought he was doing was totally different than what he was actually doing. But he goes, "That's a great idea." I was thinking, could you use a program like Otter or something where it gives you transcription of your meeting in real time? And then could you build a GPT that's also listening or taking that transcription, and as you're talking to a person, it feeds you better questions to be asking during the conversation?
Beautiful.
I would love that.
Beautiful.
That's great. Excellent. Thank you, Kelly. I am delighted by what we have heard tonight. I feel inspired.
Yes.
I think we need to have our own summit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we do. I think we need to plan that. I think the big in-person summit would be amazing.
That's right. An AI Salon in-person summit.
And by the way, it's going to be in Vegas. That's the executive decision.
I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm super excited about our guest who is here tonight. Emily Shaw is an incredible executive podcast producer is the official title, but she's also a sound artist, an audio artist with all kinds of very cool podcast production credits, including Google, Meta, YouTube, Spotify. I know her from connections in San Francisco. Really interesting, creative woman. And she has just launched a very, very cool podcast called Candy Ears, which is exploring audio and AI and generative tools and starting to put all of it together. Emily, are you here? Emily had a meeting earlier.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Emily. Hello. There she is. There's Emily. Hello, Emily.
I've got your screen up right now, Emily, with your picture and your website.
Oh, cool.
So there's the website and the podcast. So I just want to get the visual up here before you start. But now it's up there. Everyone can screenshot if they need to. And then let's turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I'm so excited to be here for the first time. Definitely hoping to tune in the future and get to hear other speakers and dive into the conversation more.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I can dive right in. Let's see if I can share my.
And thank you for doing this, even though you had a meeting before this. I appreciate you kind of hustling to be here.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, I'm really glad that it worked out.
Great.
Yeah, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about audio, art, and AI. So first I'll chat a little bit about myself, just to introduce myself. I'll talk about kind of bigger picture inspiration and process. We'll listen to a couple things, and then I'll go through those examples and share a little bit more about my process. And then we'll have a Q&A. So I'm Emily Shaw. Like Leah and Kyle mentioned, I'm a podcast producer and audio artist. I'm based in San Francisco. And yeah. My day job, I'm very happy to have a day job that is my own business that I love, which is working with brands to create podcasts and audio products. So like folks mentioned before, I work with YouTube, Google, Uber, all kinds of folks. And I do podcast development and consulting and production. And I also offer workshops and consulting too. So yeah, Like and Describe is YouTube's official trends podcast. That's been a really fun project I've been working on. I also work with Google on their Think with Google podcast. But today we're going to talk about my passion projects. So these are just a couple passion projects that I've had just on this slide. But the first one there is Sounds of Comfort During Quarantine. So, March, April of 2020, I gathered sounds of comfort from all over the world and created a sound collage. The middle photo is from my very first podcast, Cozy Boat. So I interviewed musicians in an inflatable boat filled with pillows and twinkly lights in like an underground recording studio in San Francisco, which is very fun. And then my most recent project is Candy Ears, which is really just a super fun opportunity for me to create audio sketches, experiment with different kinds of formats. I kind of give myself permission to break all of the podcast rules and just do whatever I want, and create, a lot of the episodes are really short, like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 1 minute. So I can make things really fast and get them out there. And not all of the episodes, but a lot of the episodes are AI experiments, which we'll be talking about today. So just to talk a little bit about my intentions and process, when I'm making art for fun, I'm checking in with my feelings, and I want the experience to be like as pleasurable and enjoyable as possible. So that's really my North Star, that's the compass. And if I start feeling like a should about something, I try to let that go and just let myself follow where I genuinely feel curious and genuinely am having fun. And I found for me that my creative process is really driven by curiosity. So I'm often asking myself, or the question pops into my head, I wonder what it would sound like if, or I wonder what would happen if. So one of those, what will it sound like if could be, what would it sound like if I inputted this prompt into Suno AI, which creates music, please create a podcast theme song for a comedy podcast hosted by Neanderthals, right? I wonder what that would sound like. Or, I wonder what will happen if, what would happen if I play that song for a music journalist, a musician, and see how he reacts in real time, and then ask him to remix the song live, So those are some of the actual things that I did that I'll play in a moment. And then with AI in particular, I found that everything that I've made using AI specifically, I'm really trying to lean into exploring like the juxtaposition of AI generated materials and like IRL humanity. So everything that I make, I'm like really like, okay, what is the most human sound or human experience that I can capture? And then how can I lean into something that's AI generated to really explore what it is, what it can do, how it makes me feel. And overall, I didn't put this on the slide, but honestly, I'm just processing everything changing so fast in society with technology. So creating this art is a way for me to kind of, process my feelings, process the experience, and also share it with other people. And so all together, we can be understanding what AI can do and also, reflecting on how it makes us feel. Yeah, so now we're going to listen to a couple of examples. And what I'm going to, because these are very short, I'm going to just play them all in a row. And then when I go into the process, I'll play it one more time so you can get a refresher on that. Okay, so now I'm going to share a different tab. Okay. And I'm not going to give any context. I'm just going to play them.
I am Carol Kiesling.
I am
Carol
Kiesling, a cashier in a university
bookstore. On December 7th last, I was happy.
I was happy.
The next 2 days also found me in my usual frame of mind, although it did seem strange that I was not experiencing the same feelings as most of my friends.
Although it did seem strange that I was not
experiencing
the same feelings as most of my friends. The same feelings as most of my friends. Not until a few days later did the full impact of Pearl Harbor
strike me.
Oh, and I strongly recommend wearing headphones or earbuds if you're not already.
Silence fills the air in this silent
In a world of wires and codes, where the silence slowly erodes, there's a whispering on the air of a revolution unfair. We used to sing with heart and soul.
I want Descript to create an artificial version of my voice that I can use to create speech that sounds like me.
I am training my voice by reading the following statement. Imagine a big blue ball spinning in space.
That's our Earth. On it, there are tall mountains, deep oceans, and huge forests with animals.
In cities, people talk, play, and work.
We all have different voices. Some people speak softly,
while others are loud.
Every day we tell stories,
ask questions, and share jokes. Okay, this one's a video. I'll play the full one later, but this will just give you like a taste.
All right. That's a bop. That is a baby bop. I think the better podcast is actually 6-month-olds hosting a podcast. And what do they say to each other? How do they interact? I think it would take a lot of editing, but I think that would be comedy gold. Now, but this song has the catchiest hook. That chorus is good.
Okay, and I'll just do one last one that I actually just made last night.
Hi there and welcome to Candy Ears. This is Emily AI in for Emily Shaw. Yesterday, Emily was curious what the AI-generated voice created by her trying to sound like a robot would sound like. So she read Descript's AI speaker prompt like this.
I want Descript to create an artificial version of my voice that I can use to create speech that sounds like me.
And I'd say that the AI voice it created sounds more human than her real voice trying to sound like a robot. Here that is. I want Descript to create an artificial version of my voice that I can use to create speech that sounds like me. Let's hear those both one more time. Here's real Emily pretending to be a robot.
I want Descript to create an artificial version of my voice that I can use to create speech that sounds like me.
And here's the AI voice Descript created from that audio sample. I want Descript to create an artificial version of my voice that I can use to create speech that sounds like me. Interesting. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Okay, so those were some funny examples. Yeah, so now I'm just going to go through and share a little bit about my process. So the same feelings as most of my friends. I guess I'll share this. Do folks want to hear them again, or do you feel like I can just get right into?
I think you can get right in, and then if you're referencing specific things, maybe play a little bit. So if you're referencing a specific moment or a specific one, you can share that.
Okay, so the first one I'll talk about is the same feelings as most of my friends. This is actually the very first AI experiment that I did. And I was curious to play with the AI-generated version of my own voice, but to juxtapose that with something that feels really human to me. So in Descript, which is an audio editing tool, I recorded, there's a paragraph-long prompt that I guess you guys got a hint of. So I read that just normally with my normal voice. And then I went looking for archival materials that have free use that you can use for any purpose. And I found this interesting archival recording from right after the attack on Pearl Harbor apparently they had this thing called Letters to the President, where people wrote a letter and they read it out loud.
Wow.
So this slide shows me just like dragging that file, the original file from Carol Kiesling, into Descript, and it transcribed it. And then here in the next, oh, it looks like I might have accidentally deleted the next one. But what I did was I just chopped it up so it was just the top part, and then I typed in with my own AI voice, like every couple of words or phrases to have it kind of juxtapose the two and go back and forth. And actually, one funny thing about this is that I'll play a little bit of it to refresh your memory, but at certain points, one word is replaced with like the other recording.
Huh.
The reason for that was actually because I didn't have the pro version at the time. And so Descript will actually not do everything. So every time there was a word that Descript like made up a gibberish word, I like replaced that with the other one. So one of those like funny creative constraints.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. So I'll just play like a tiny clip of that just as like a refresher. Yeah, so that's just a little reminder on that one.
Wait, we couldn't.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I think you have to.
Share this having said.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh no, this is like the old days of Zoom challenges. Okay, here, I'll play.
I was happy.
The next 2 days also found me in my usual frame of mind, although it did seem strange that I was not experiencing the same feelings as most of my friends.
Although it did seem strange that I was not
experiencing
the same feelings as most of my friends.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Thanks. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this one and show this tab instead. Yeah, so that was the backstory behind that one. And then Silent Revolution was the next one you heard. So I'll just play a little bit of that as a refresher. Okay. And so the interesting one about this one, so someone told me about Suno AI, which is a tool where you can enter a prompt and it'll write a song for you in like 5 seconds. So I, as my very first experiment with it, I was like, I wonder what it would create if I asked it to make a sad acoustic song about the AI takeover. Like, what will AI write about the AI takeover? So I created this song, but then I wanted to find a way to kind of put it in a context that felt very tactile and human and real. So what I did was I like put the MP3 on my phone. I put my phone in a drawer in my closet. And then I like was holding an actual real recorder that has stereo recording. So you can kind of hear as I'm moving around. Hopefully you guys are able to hear things kind of like in one ear or the other. So what I did was I just walked outside my apartment, closed the door, and then I recorded the sound of like walking. So it's playing in. So I had it like looping the same song over and over so that it wouldn't run out. So it's just playing in this drawer in my closet. And so I'm outside, I open the door, I walk through, I open the closet door, I walk in, I open the drawer, I take it out of the drawer, I close the drawer, and then and then I like walk into this room, and then I place it on this table, and then I just walk away and I go back out the door. So that was just like a fun way. Oh, and then at some point in the middle, I had it switch into actually playing the song. So you might have heard, or if you listen again, you might hear that it goes from kind of sounding like it's like in front of you to like in your ears. So it's just these kind of interesting ways of making it feel more like real and playing with it. That was that one. And then the next one is Me, Myself, and AI. So for this one, I was very curious. I feel like I'm kind of trolling Descript a little bit, even though I love them. But it's like, oh, you wanna like you're telling me you can make my voice like through AI? Well, let's see what you do. Like, how many different like what does it even mean for it to be my voice? How many different voices of my voice can I create? So what I did was I was like, what else? And honestly, I'm just curious. Like, what'll it sound like if I whisper the prompt? What'll it sound like if I shout it from far away? What'll it sound like if I sing it? That was actually a really fun one. It sounds like a British accent. It's like, anyway, maybe I'll see if I can find that one. where it starts sounding like I'll play a little bit of this just so you can have a refresher. I think it was towards the middle. Let's see.
That's our Earth. On it, there are tall mountains, deep oceans, and huge forests with animals.
So that was what it sounded like when I was singing. It like turned it into this like weird other voice. And I also, one of the takes I did was I breathed in a really deep breath and then I read the whole thing in one breath. And so you could hear at the beginning, you hear me take a breath and then I kind of edit together all the different versions. And then the very end is like the real version of me, like just barely finishing it and then taking a deep breath. So I think there's also something, again, like I'm playing with like being a real human. I need to breathe. I'm alive, you know? And then I'm, you know, mixing in these other versions. And actually, Descript wouldn't create a version with all of them. Like it had errors with some of them. So some of them I used my real voice, but it didn't actually like work. And I wonder, maybe I should just pause here and see if there are any questions before I just keep going forward, or I can continue with the rest of them. What do you guys think?
I have a comment, Emily.
Yeah.
Raise your hands if anyone has anything. One of the points of the Colorado legislation is that it's this really broad statement of if it's AI generated, you have to label it. And my response to that was, well, you know, what if it's just a sentence within a whole paper that was AI generated, or what if it's a paragraph? And what you're exploring here, like especially the one where you're like, you generate the song, you put it in a drawer, so you've got this super analog, well, it's digitally recorded, but you've got this superhuman recording of the real world with this synthesized thing within it. So like, you know, your whole thing here is blurring the boundary between those two anyway, and I think that's really important, right? So it just struck me that, you know, I was just asked about that specific thing today, and that's exactly what you're doing, is exploring where those boundaries are.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, super.
Yeah, and I can answer these raise hand questions too.
John, go ahead. You're first.
Okay, thanks. Hi, thank you so much, Emily. This is really fun, and I appreciate you sharing your process. I love the intercutting of the different voices, and you're inspiring me to intercut different avatars with the same message. And this, you know, we're all concerned, I think, or if we're not, we should be, about the deep fakes and helping people get that there are actually all of these realities. So I don't know, is there something conceptual behind there, or something more to say about this mixture of, you know, AI and then the real you and all of that? Because I think you've opened a door for me, at least, that I want to explore further. And I'd love to hear you talk more about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's such a great question. And I think for me, a really strong intention is to help people understand what it can do. So I'm trying to make it really clear, like even in that last piece that I played, the one that I made last night, where it's like, this is not Emily, this is the AI Emily voice. So people can hear, oh, that's what it can do right now, you know? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, then it's playing me trying to be a robot. And it's like, okay, that's Emily, but she kind of sounds like AI generated. And then, oh, this is what it does when. So I'm just trying to make it very transparent and just help people know what's like, understand what it can do. So maybe they won't be fooled, or they just know what is out there. And then I also like having that juxtaposition and that contrast. Maybe just as something to reflect on, you know, like, oh, how do I feel when I'm hearing someone that I know is a human? They're telling me it's a human. How do I feel when I am hearing something that's AI generated? Even if sometimes it really sounds like it could be a human. But yeah, there's a lot there. Thanks for asking.
Can I ask a really quick follow-up, which is how does this relate to the podcast? Is there a particular intention behind? It's called Candy Ear. Is that the podcast?
Yeah, I would say you mean this idea of like what's real and what's
well, and making AI more transparent, and I guess your audio experimentation in general.
Yeah, I would say the connection is being transparent about process. So for me, this podcast is almost like an audio sketchbook. You know, the way that a visual artist can go on Instagram and share, hey, here's a sketch, or here how I made something. I don't see that with audio. And so I found that this is a way to kind of get inside my creative process. You can listen to a 30-second or 1-minute thing. It's like, oh, this is kind of just what I'm thinking about right now. But I'm really clear, you know, in the descriptions, I'll say what tools that I used. I'll say what prompt I used. So I just really like transparency. Yeah.
Fabulous. Thanks.
Excellent. All right.
Not all of the episodes are AI.
Next question, Jane.
Yeah, I like what you said about like when you were experimenting with this, like doing things that you weren't supposed to do with podcasting. I'm curious, what have you, like, is there anything that you've created that you would not have been able to do without these tools?
I mean, all of the AI experiments I would not have been able to create without these tools. So whenever I'm doing an AI experiment, I'm doing something that I can only do because of AI. You know, it's coming from that place of curiosity of like, I have no idea what will happen if.
Wow. Cool. Thank you.
And Kenneth Comer, you're up next.
From the technologist kind of technophile side of me, I'm just curious as to the history. When did you make these? When were you using Descript, and what do you use now?
Yeah. So I'm still using Descript. Let's see, when did I make them? I'm gonna quickly look on my podcast, like Apple Podcasts. Okay, so one was yesterday. The one before that, I didn't share it today, but there was one from April 11th. The very first one that I did, which was the one with the archival piece, was February 17th that I posted it. So it's all pretty recent.
And I want to jump right in here though and say I think something to keep in mind is Emily's broad experience making podcasts. So you've come to this creation process with a new tool, but your instincts, your ear, your craft has really been honed over, I mean, how many years? Right?
Like nine years.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that I think a lot about is that we have this new tool that you just sort of made these, and you're bringing so much expertise to that process as well.
Yeah. And that actually maybe leads into sharing, I could share a little bit longer example, which is sounds more like a podcast, which is that so this is the only recent episode that actually sounds like a podcast episode, which was just kind of fun to throw in there. It's like 1 minute, 23-minute interview show. But basically what I did was I created 4 different podcasts, like absurd podcast theme songs using Suno AI. So one is create a podcast theme song for Two Dudes in a Basement podcast. Create a podcast theme song for podcast about classical music hosted by a serious professor. Create a theme song for a podcast hosted by 2 6-month-old babies, right? So I created like absurd theme songs. And then I was like, why don't I play that for, you know, this guy? He's the host of a show called Switched on Pop, Charlie Harding. It's a really cool show about pop music. And I was very lucky that he agreed to do this experiment with me. So I was like, I'm just going to play him these theme songs, get his real reactions in real time. And then I'm going to ask him to remix it live. And so that was a way to bring in that human piece again, right? Like we're processing it together. We're talking together. What does this mean for us as creative people? So I'm going to play this clip, and this is about 3.5 minutes long, just as a warning.
And I want to just give a heads up. We see a few other hands raised, and we'll get to questions as well. So I see you. And we'll pick that up after.
You've been acknowledged.
Yeah, so I'll just share this. Okay, so we're now at the final prompt and song. This one is a podcast theme song for a comedy podcast hosted by 6-month-old babies.
That's a great idea.
And this song is called Baby Laughs.
We're here to make you smile. 6 months old and we're rocking the mic. Oh yeah, we made you rebel, but don't you underestimate the comedic genius that we demonstrate. Baby laughs, baby giggles, we're the cutest on the air. Tune in every weekend, we'll keep you laughing.
All right. That's a bop. That is a baby bop.
You have kids. You have little
obviously-
kids, right?
I do have little kids. I take issue with the idea of 6-month-old babies talking and singing. I think the better podcast is actually 6-month-olds hosting a podcast. And what do they say to each other? How do they interact? I think it would take a lot of editing, but I think that would be comedy gold. Now, but this song has the catchiest hook. That chorus is good. The lyrics suck, but they're babies, so they get a pass. But the melody was great, and there was the right amount of repetition. I don't know why babies are into sort of like upbeat trap R&B, but the melody, the hook was good, and I feel like you don't actually have to write good lyrics to have a hit song. You just have to have a catchy, memorable melody, and I think that this song, "Baby Laughs," achieves that.
Awesome. Well, I love that the tone has shifted and now you're actually stoked about one of the songs. That's awesome. So now we have arrived at the next part of this podcast experiment, which is I would love for you to choose one of these podcast theme songs that you will create a remix of, make a better version of live right now. I'll give you more than 5 seconds. You can have as much time as you are available right now.
Oh, God. All right, I'll try Basement Warriors.
Okay.
2 dudes in a basement, mic in hand, talking about life and things they don't understand. Breaking it down, keeping it real, sharing thoughts and trying to make a deal. Basement Warriors, podcast kings, talking about everything, no strings. Diving deep, never gonna hold you back. Basement Warriors, we got your back, oh yeah.
Cool. So I think we can go into the Q&A, but I hope you guys could hear a little bit of how I was trying to juxtapose like humans having a human experience and us kind of processing AI together. And you can hear the whole episode in the Candy Ears feed as well as even more. So
I love that, Emily. That's so neat. I think it's really interesting how you're like, there's really this back and forth between the AI and the human is very seamless. And I think it creates a very, you're not quite sure what you're listening to. And I appreciate that you're acknowledging it in the process of making it. And then playing on the sort of ridiculousness of what the AI is doing wrong with a human person who has the expertise and putting them back and forth against each other. I think it's naming a lot of what's going on right now.
Yeah, thank you.
World around AI. Okay, a couple more questions. Michelle Liu, you're up.
Hey there. Yeah, I love all the pieces actually. I heard about your talk today through the MSC radio group. But yeah, no, I was really curious. So when you had the script that made your voice sound more human after you tried to make it sound like a robot, was it really only using that piece of audio, or was it taking like previous things you read into it and that's why it knew what you sounded like? Or
it was only using that audio. So I literally like recorded a voice memo on my phone trying to sound like a robot and then dragged that into Descript. And I put in like new voice and the name of it was Emily Robot. So unless it's so much smarter than I even imagined, I think it was just doing it. But I think
I was curious. I don't know.
Like a human, that's what they try to do. You know.
I was going to say, is it just designed to smooth those things out so that I mean I don't know if it does that with everybody or if that's like a thing where it's designed to not produce robotic sound voices.
I mean,
I'm super curious about this now because I'm not sure if that's a good or bad that it does that. Like if you are making a movie and you do want it to sound sci-fi and you want to make like an android that talks like Data from Star Trek, is it good or bad that it makes it sound human every time?
Well, that's the thing that's kind of tricky about it is that now it's starting to sound more real than I sometimes want creatively. So like I made another piece that I didn't share where I had a friend, she read a poem and then she recorded a voice memo of herself reading the prompt. And there was like actually kind of a staticky background noise, you know, because she just did it herself. But then that actually added creatively because it makes it sound more digital when I have the AI version, but it could have sounded cleaner if she had recorded it with a microphone and everything. So I feel like creatively it does sometimes get in the way.
Interesting.
Yeah. I wish Descript was in this call to answer questions.
Okay, next question, Cindy Kuhn.
Oh, Emily, I am so inspired. I just really wanted to say a comment more than a question. So for the last 2 years, I've been working on a project with a friend of mine that retired from the EPA, and it was my job to help him stay retired and play instead of doing more work. And so we've been working on a project for the last few years that we've called Mapping Our Breath. And I map my breath through watercolor postcards, and he maps his breath through audio postcards. And then we also swap. So we have this catalog of audio postcards that we've been sending for 2 years, but they're straight like, it's quite a collection, and it's sometimes just recording breath. Sometimes it's all kinds of things.
That's so cool.
It's quite a catalog of us literally sending postcards, audio postcards. And then,
by the way, don't get me started on the AI breaths because it creates a breath when it's making the AI voice, and I kind of want to. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but I kind of want to play with.
So
like,
that's
what breath mean? This AI breath, you know.
Emily, that's what the comment I wanted to say
yeah.
was when I was listening to your stuff, and I was thinking, one, I haven't taken any of that work yet into AI, and I will be immediately inspired by you. But two, that's what I wanted to say is like, oh my God, there's a third breath engaged in this. And it goes with like the prompts of when I say, take your time, thoughtfully respond. I'm asking it to slow down and breathe. But until I really listen to your pieces tonight with the intention of there's another party in the room that's contributing to the creative practice. And so I'm meeting with my buddy Rich on Thursday, and I can't wait to say, we have a new breathy task, my friend. So thank you.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you, Cindy. Sarah, you're up next.
Good to see you, Sarah. Sarah is a real human that I know in the real world.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Emily, and hi, Carl. My two questions are for you. Well, my one question discussion topic. So I'm really interested in exploring this idea of, I'm taking notes as you know, you were talking. I'm just really interested in this idea of exploring this idea of boundaries and transparency in the creativity process. Because Carl, you mentioned that there was this lawmaker who wanted to label everything. And, you know, as a fellow creator, I've used AI in various contexts. And you know, there was this really interesting discussion I had today where someone said to me, you have to think about whether you're going to be controlled by your emotions in your mind, or your mind and your emotions are a tool. And I also feel like that is also true of AI. When I was listening to your process, Emily, like if as a creator, if someone said to me, what label should we put on something? I mean, I'd love to hear from you, Emily, what you think of that as well, because I think, from my perspective, I think I would like AI to be a tool and not a boss, and to have a label to say, I don't know, if I had to say a label like AI was involved in the creation of this process, of this product or this story or this sound or this podcast. But a lot like what Kevin Kelly, he had this huge, massive essay, which I encourage everyone here to read, a few months ago, the cover story for Wired. But that's what, it's not a binary situation. It's not like, you know, AI, what the world I don't want to live in is where people are generating a whole bunch of AI stuff and it's passed off as real. But at the same time, AI is useful in the creative process. So what I'd love to hear more from you, Emily and Carl, what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately I was not here earlier, so I'm not as like looped in on the legal process and everything that's happening. But one thought is that I personally, just from a curiosity and creative standpoint, I like transparency. Like I like to know when it's used and how it's used. Just, just to feel more like looped in on what's going on. But I feel like one interesting like comparison is that some things I feel like I want to be transparent about creatively and other things don't feel as important. So for example, if I type in a prompt and it creates an AI voice, I want to be clear that that's an AI voice. But I actually also used AI to remove a background hiss from a recording in the piece that I made last night. For some reason, the AI voice that was narrating had a little bit of a background hiss. So I put that into an AI tool called Hush that uses AI somehow to make things sound better. And I didn't that's not the kind of thing that I felt that I would feel like I needed to disclose, right? Because it's more technical and less likely to be misinterpreted as like, is that a human or is that not? I don't know. So somehow that was interesting to reflect on. And then I think in some cases we may not know if AI is involved or not. Someone could be using Descript and not know that it's an AI tool or not, So there's also an element of like how much do we even know how the tools that we use work and
That's a really good
what
point.
counts as AI or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll throw in a couple of thoughts. There's the rebel pain in the ass part of me that my response is, it's not anyone's fucking business what tool I use to make what I make. And I think there are times when you can use it explicitly. I think if you're creating things with the intent of deceiving someone, I think that's bad. I think that's something we need to protect against. But I think as a tool of creative expression, it's not really anyone's business. And I've been putting these things on LinkedIn recently where I'm introducing relatives from my distant past that never existed. And I'm not saying it's AI, and I'm doing that on purpose. Like part of it is I kind of just want to see, does anyone think it's real, right? Like, because the tools, when I look at the tools right now, I think they look ridiculously fake, right? But some people don't. Like some people are like, oh, you have really interesting relatives. I'm like, oh, no. Like for me, there's kind of a social experiment there. And I kind of like playing with that balance, like similar to how, Emily, you're playing with it to sort of share it and contrast it. I'm kind of playing with it, like putting AI generated, beat poets, from the 80s in New York City that were related to me, putting that on LinkedIn and just seeing, if people just think I'm a weirdo, but like, what's the response to that? And I don't think it's their business. I feel like it's irrelevant in a lot of cases. And so that's where I am with it is I think we should be free to just experiment with these things in any way we can. Like, I don't ask Leah what camera she shoots on or what lens she shot on.
Well, it's interesting what you just said, because 20 years ago, when people were going from film to digital, this was a really big conversation. Well, did you use a film camera for that, or did you use a digital camera for that?
Yeah.
That was a big
real camera, right?
There really were photographers who were being told they weren't photographers because they used a digital camera. And so I think anytime there's new technology that gets introduced, this is the kind of like the tension that we live with. At some point, AI is going to be in everything. I mean, AI will be in every camera. It's already in there, right? AI will be in all kinds of digital tools. We won't ask, did you use AI to make this anymore? But it'll be an interesting transition from going from here to there. And I think the legislation can make it much messier and a little like, well, AI is everywhere. Like, well, how do you just draw that distinction now?
And that's what Emily, you used the word binary. Like that legislation is written in a binary way. If it's AI, label it. If it's not AI, then it's good, right? Like AI bad, humans good. Well, it's much more nuanced than that. This is a much more nuanced conversation. And it's so.
And I do think with craftspeople and crafts in general, which is going to be an interesting transition, there is, people want to pay a great photographer because they know how to use all the gear. So while you don't necessarily ask what kind of camera I use, I get asked all the time what kind of cameras I use, what kind of gear, what do I know about? And I think that we often measure an artist's expertise on their knowledge of the craft, right? I've been using this camera for 20 years. I'm the best photographer there is. And I think that we have been transitioning into a world where, Emily Shaw is a great podcast producer. I don't know if you've ever cut and spliced tape, right? It doesn't matter. But it's like we like to measure people's success based on how well they can manipulate their tools. And what AI is doing is that's flattening it and leveling it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a really interesting transition. That will we still value people as artists for the work they make if they don't have to know the craft and the tool to make it? I think that we're going to live with a lot of those questions for sure.
One other thing that pops up for me as you're saying that is I recently found out about a brunch place in San Francisco where everything is made from scratch. So like, I don't know, the sausage, the bread, the bagels, cream cheese, whatever. And somehow that feels related. Like it's just interesting for it to be like our brand is that it's made from scratch or something that's handmade. This is handmade pottery or a ceramic, so it's just interesting to think about that. And can you tell or not? And how do we feel that something has value or not? I know for myself, I like to know that something was made by a human. Like it does feel different if I listen to a song that someone wrote and played and I know that they're human than if I listen to a song that was created by a machine. It just feels different. So it's interesting to reflect on.
Michelle.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, Martin. Yeah, no, I think there's so many things going on. Yes, so I agree that the binary non-binary thing is tricky because like on the one hand, what if it is the one sentence of the whole paper? On the other hand, like there are so many academic applications, like as far as like how we learn, how we write, all these things, and like how do you decide too much, like using it is too much or not enough? Or I mean, it's not like not enough, but like I think there's something to be said for the transparency of like saying, okay, like maybe it shouldn't be just a binary thing. Maybe we should say like, okay, this is the part that was made with AI or something, because it's true. Like I think there's nuance to like, are you using AI to help you brainstorm, or are you actually asking AI to write you the paper? And like as another photographer, like I can tell you the reason why most of my friends who are photographers are upset about it is not just the like, can you type in a prompt and get an image, whereas we do the work, we go out to these places, we check the forecast, we know what to look for, we know when to be there, we know how to use the tools. It's also that there was no consent. Nobody asked us, can I use your photo? And a lot of these things, that the problem is the consent problem more than just the flattening of the skills or the one button, photo, one button painting, whatever it is. It's also like we put in the work to do it, right? And also I think for me, as much as anything else, like the transparency is more important from a just information standpoint. Like from a journalism standpoint, it's like I worry because I mean, we have an election coming up. We have lots of elections coming up this year, like a huge number, like worldwide. There's like a ton of elections coming up, and I think it's a little terrifying when people don't have I don't know what the right answer is as far as like how should we watermark it, or how do we determine how much of it is AI? But I think people should have some way to find out. Okay, like this thing was probably spat out by ChatGPT or Claude or whichever LLM it is, because it's important. Like this is the kind of stuff where like it is good to know the difference between a properly researched, fact-checked, edited article and this thing that someone threw into a, you know, LM and a prompt generator and spat it out in 5 seconds, right?
Well, I think one of the things I've noticed is that as I have played with these tools and dug into them, I can spot AI pretty quickly. And most people can't. And that's something I'm starting to recognize, is that those of us who are playing with the tools and looking at the tools every day and generating and using it, there's two languages that are starting to emerge: people who can recognize what's generative and what people who can't. And I think that what's important to me is that where people are at is the information they're being given. And I don't think that stays where it is. I think that changes and evolves as new tools come out. And so I don't want you to hear me say I don't think we should say when something's AI, because I do think AI is everywhere, but I also think that there is a service that needs to happen, that people understand when generative tools are used. And I think that's very useful to know. I think that it's hard to say that it's binary. Well, I use all AI tools, or I didn't use any AI tools. I don't think that's a realistic thing, but I do think, right? But I do think that saying AI generative tools were used in this audio piece or in this photograph is important. Like, I know that the generative projects I'm working on now, I label this is made with generative tools, right? I want people to know that.
Yeah, and I think that's the right way to do it. Is like, I don't have a problem. Like I think, you know, there was this big debate in our group, like, is it good or bad? And it's like, you know, some people are like, AI art is crap, or it's not art. I'm like, well, no. Like, there's a group of people that clearly enjoy it, and like, if they enjoy it, that's fine. But I do think you should say, like, hey, it's made with, you know, like whichever model you're using, just so people know. But yeah, like, I mean, that's the problem. Is like, I feel like even as it is, there are people who can't tell the difference between like AI generated text. Sometimes I think most of us as people who are playing with these things, we're used to it. Like, we kind of know the weird quirks that it has, that it tends to spit out. But a lot of people, like my mom's like 77, right? Like, she's not great at telling the difference. Like, I know a lot of her friends also, like, they pass around stuff, and I'm like, you know, that's an AI generated image and not a real image of the eclipse, right? And they're kind of like shocked, right? And so it's it's like a general misinformation issue. It's just always a little worrisome.
Well, here's a question. Here's a question that I'll put out, because what if you flip it the other way? What if you say you look at a piece of work and that piece of work moves you emotionally, and then you find out it's AI? Does that diminish your emotional response to it? Because if the work connects, doesn't matter how it was created.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, I think, like, I don't think it would change the impact on me. It would probably change the way I perceive the artist, quote unquote. If the artist is basically a prompt engineer, like, the piece of work is the piece of work. And if I love the aesthetics of the image, then I love the aesthetics of the image. Or if it sparks a particular memory, then it sparks that particular memory. But I'm not going to look at it. So like I met a lot of people through the Young Open, right? And so, like, I know those people. Like, I know this guy who literally spent like 60 hours painting this canvas that's about like probably 4 or 5 feet by 4 or 5 feet. And the way I look at his work is still going to be different from the way I look at a similar image that I know to be generated by Midjourney or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's kind of like different pieces within that question. Like, the emotional response is one thing, but the way I perceive the artist or the process of the work is different.
Yeah.
And I think the perception of a valuable piece, I think the perception of something being handmade or made by a human is going to become very important and very valuable, right? And so we're going to be very interested in spending a lot of money for that piece that someone spent 60 hours painting, and the generative AI will get thrown away. And I wonder if the value that we're putting on that will often be how we indicate the difference between something that's human made and generative. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, John, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I just would add to the discussion that it's not a, pardon the expression again, binary thing. There, you know, there's a giant spectrum of AI generated, human generated, and then there's going to be all these, you know, in the middle there's 50-50, but on each side there's 25-75, and so it becomes a mixture of how much AI is involved and how much human is involved, and remembering that the best stuff is a collaboration. You know, not putting a value judgment on the best stuff is human made, but where there's at least a human involved. And I just, as a side note, There's a video that we used in the play shop of Sam Altman from OpenAI talking about how important the human is in the loop, that without the human creativity, we don't have much. And he commented that a book written by AI, he would certainly be less interested in than a book that was human authored. But anyway, it's a spectrum. It's not a black and white thing, because we're more and more going to be collaborating with AI in various ways. In fact, it's hard to imagine that there won't be mostly things where AI was involved to some extent.
So we have thank you, John. So we have about 4 minutes left. So Emily, I would love for you to wrap up, and if there was, we sort of started with questions and we never quite finished. So if there was something else you wanted to share with us before we all need to say goodbye, we'd love to hear that.
Yeah, well, I can just share the screen with my, like, how we can keep in touch. So yeah, I would love to keep in touch with everyone. Feel free to, shoot me an email. Here's my website, LinkedIn. I'm really curious what folks are making, so I'd love to check it out if you send me something.
Well, please join the salon too, aisalon.co.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love
And
to have you
also, and you all can subscribe to the Candy Ears podcast. It's in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Emily. Really appreciate everything you had to say. I'm very inspired, as I always am when we get a chance to talk to each other. And was so excited to see your jumping in with AI. So thanks for making time. Really appreciate it. I know you're super busy, and so grateful to have you here tonight.
A well-deserved golf clap for Emily, everybody.
Yes, well, we like to give golf claps here at the salon.
Thank you.
We don't want to be rash, but we do want to show you how much we appreciate you. That was really awesome, Emily. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, Leah, like I don't know. Lately I've been loving how the salons are coming together. Sort of like, no matter where we start, everything seems to kind of connect. And I don't know. This was a really, really fun conversation. So Emily, thank you for inspiring that.
Yeah, I do. I have this moment sometime on Tuesdays where we have really incredible team of people that help the salon happen every week. And often people are doing things on their own, and because we're sort of an all volunteer organization and we're still building, we don't have all the systems in place that make everything happen. So sometimes people don't hear from people and emails don't get sent, and this person didn't know they had to send it to this person. So there's always this moment of sort of chaos on Monday before a salon, or Tuesday, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what's happening? And then Kyle and I get on the phone like an hour or two before the salon, and we're like, what's happening? What's going on? And then every week, this is like, it's a highlight, comes together, and it's really
yeah, just amazing.
Yeah,
awesome.
Thank you.
All right, well, everybody, have a fantastic next 2 weeks. And thank you as always for being here and participating, and really thoughtful conversation. So can't thank you all enough.
Thank you. And thank you, Kyle. Thanks for being the co-host, the best.
Bye. Get it bestest. See y'all later.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, shucks.
Oh,
Awesome session. Yay.
Virtual hugs. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.